Good evening, everyone. To cross the ocean, one must always have the courage to lose sight of the shore. Instilling in us this indomitable courage and ingenuity is the Finance and Investment Cell of the Department of Professional Studies, Christ University. Welcome to the second episode of the Let's Talk series, where we interact with young minds who are not only the alumni of DPS, but also represent an array of prestigious companies where they have set off the ripple effect of value addition. In conversation today, we have with us Ramya Srinivasan, a research analyst at BCG, and Sai Saket Nanduri, a research associate at BCG. Having graduated with a BCom professional degree, they are here with us today to share with us their valuable experiences. The moderators for today are Devanshi Agarwal and I, Adya Fatu, from the Finance and Investment Cell of DPS.
So, Ramya and Saket, through the course of this conversation, let's trace your journey right from your application and recruitment to being full-time research associates and analysts at the Boston Consulting Group. Let's kickstart this discussion by understanding the roles you serve at BCG. So, Ramya, as a research analyst, can you give us an insight into how a typical work day in your life looks like?
Sure. Hi everyone, I'm Ramya Srinivasan. To answer your question, Devanshi, we normally start work at 9 o'clock, and we are basically the research team. So we work with internal case teams with our clients, and we do the research part of it. So we do the market research, we do industry research, and we do company research. And this is a normal day typically revolves around we take in requests, we work with one case team or a couple of case teams to help with their research needs. And we have access to multiple databases, and we use the same to ensure that we give high quality research to the case teams to help them in their analysis and their strategy that they provide to the consultant, to the client, I'm sorry.
Yes, I believe it involves a lot of research as well as providing value to your clients.
Yes, so having heard from Ramya, Saket, can you please enlighten us on how the work of a research associate differs from that of an analyst, and how's the work culture like at BCG?
Thank you, Adya. Hi, guys. My name is Saket. Absolutely thrilled to be here. And so the typical difference is not much, to be honest. Associates are the ones who are fresh out of college, whereas analysts are a bit more tenured in their journey. They are through at least 20 or 25 months ahead of us. As Rami already mentioned, it's more of research, conducting research across industries, across different companies, across different segments of that. And the typical day is similar to what you already mentioned, but just that, we have a more steep learning curve compared to them because we are transitioning from campus to corporate now. So we're going to have more trainings, more learning curves, and eventually, we're going to get a bit more tenured and work on more complex requests. That's what the analysts typically do. In terms of the work culture, it is an amazing place to work. I'm not hyping or making this up because I haven't seen a company that is really more concerned about their employees, right? COVID hit us, every industry has been impacted, every company was impacted, but still, they onboarded us virtually. They literally took care of everything that was required. And the people here are super, super supportive, right? They have always got your back, and you never feel that, you're being thrown under the bus or something of that sort because you always have people supporting you. They are more like your friends than your colleagues, and absolutely a great place to work.
Okay, so that's, I'm really delighted to know that BCG is a very, positive workplace, and there's a very enriching learning experience involved too. So now that we understand the job roles and the work culture, Saket, can you also walk us through, your whole application and interview process, and can you highlight some of the crucial skills that us as a candidate have to possess to stand out from the crowd?
Sure, that's a very good question. Now, in terms of the recruitment and stuff, it does differ, like based on the role. Let me just put that as a caveat. But a typical associate, right, fresh out of college, it's a very mainstream process. There's going to be aptitude test first, followed by a set of interviews. Now, the aptitude test typically is again, involving your basic cons, basic logical and reasoning, and basic GK. If you've prepped well for that for a month or so, it's more than sufficient, right? So that should do for it. In terms of the interviews, two parts over here from my end. First is your resume and your background. Right now, consulting firms are typically focused on one essential criteria. Are you a good problem solver? If you have what it takes to solve the problems, if you have that analytical and a logical mindset, it definitely would give you an edge, right? Now, in terms of expectations from undergrads, it is not very significant, right? I'm sure all of us must have heard myths that you have to be a national Olympiad champion and stuff like that. But trust me, nothing of that sort. It is very, very intrinsic, very, very basic. So typically they'll look at areas where you have good observation skills, good logical skills, and also in your resume they do look for a good mix between acads and co-curriculars. So if you have that good mix and you're consistently maintaining it, it should be good enough.
All right. So I think, you as you mentioned, consistency and practice is the key. So I wanted to know if are there also case studies involved in this application process, and maybe if you could let us know if there are any resources we can look up to for preparing us for the same.
Sure. So as I mentioned, the interview process, right? So not just BCG, I'm not targeting any firm over here, but in consulting industry in general, the interviews are a bit different compared to a generic interview, right? Most of them revolve around case studies. So in order to prep for a case study, I'll recommend a source on YouTube called Case Coach. It was founded by former consultants in all these tier one consulting firms. And Case Coach has a lot of, mock consulting interviews around different themes, wherein, you're going to have a one-on-one session. It's a mock session. Through that, you can learn the different tricks as to how to answer questions, how to maintain the right body language, and how to drive the interview, because case interviews are a two-way street. Now, what I mean by saying that is, it's not just one person asking you questions and you simply answering it. You need to also ask them the right set of questions, add in your thought process, and drive it ahead. So it's more of a dialogue between two people than a very generic interview. So I'll recommend Case Coach as a very, very good source to get started, because when you look at a video, you know the basic etiquettes how to conduct yourself. So yeah, that will be very useful to start off.
Yeah, so thank you so much for recommending Case Coach. I think we'll remember that and we'll definitely refer to it.
So, to add another perspective to the recruitment process, Ramya, if you were an interviewer at BCG, what would you look out for in the candidates? Could you also further suggest some additional resources and tips that could help us?
Sure. So, like Saket mentioned, the main thing that they look for is your problem solving skills. They want to see how you think on your feet. So, like Saket mentioned, the consulting companies normally have case interviews, but for a role of a research analyst and research associate, they don't give such in-depth case interviews. They give shorter, like guesstimates and shorter logical reasoning cases, and they give you just 2 minutes to 5 minutes to answer their questions, and they want to see how your thought process is, how you think, what kind of thought process, what kind of questions you're asking them to ensure that the answer that you give is in line with what they're expecting. So I would suggest sources. The sources that I used are very random. So I used to go to YouTube and I used to type in logical reasoning interviews, and I was looking at random videos from various pages, and I subscribe to those so that I get notifications before the interview, and I saw tips on what not to do in an interview. I don't have any specific source as such. I just used YouTube and Google to look at various different sources.
Right, so I think it's time we make Google our best friend. And also, Ramya, could you specify that one question that intrigued you as a candidate, and how did you tackle the same?
So I think I would, let me just think back. It's been 2 years, so I can't really remember any particular question. But I think most important part was the guesstimates that they asked in the interviews. So I was discussing it with my peers who were also sitting for the interview, and we realized that the questions that they asked don't really have one solid answer, and they just want to see how we think. So the guesstimate that I got was, I think it was the number of ATMs that you think is going, that you think South India has at the moment in 2019, sorry, 2018. So we have, like, I had to think about how many states are there in South India, and then I had to build on how many districts are there, and then every district, how much population is urban, what is rural, and then I'll have to make a estimate and have to think through the process and give them a ballpark figure, and they are more interested in what you're thinking than the final answer that you give. So that intrigued me, because normally I thought in an interview they'll ask you questions and there's one specific answer, but then knowing that they are interested in the process of how you're coming to the answer was kind of intriguing for me.
And I think like they see your journey in the mind, that like, in your mind, what journey you're taking place while answering the question.
Yes.
Absolutely. So moving on to one of the key aspects of an application, that is the resume itself. Ramya, how would you advise a student to tailor their resume according to the job profile? Which are some of the key headers that we must pay special attention to?
That's a great question. So, I mean, it's a common mistake that people use the same resume across all their job applications. So the main thing is you have to tailor your application to the job that you're applying to. So let's say I was applying to a research position at BCG, and I had written a research paper. So I had to make sure that this is highlighted, and I also give a summary of the research paper that I wrote, so that they know that I have a research background. And the areas that you have to focus in a resume, I would say first is internships. And for that, I mean, since most of the people are first years and second years, sir, they still do have time to do an internship. So internships are the most important, not just for applying to BCG, but to any company. So that give practical experience. So internships are the most important part of a resume, according to me. And after that, you can show, like if you're a fester, like you have to show what you've done during the festing period, or if you're interested in co-curricular activities, like maybe you're a person who's involved in a lot of social work. So highlight that. And also when you're talking, so most of the interviews, they ask you to go through resume, parts of resume. So in that, when you're talking about it, talk about it in such a way that when you're, let's say if you're a social worker and you're, say, managing an event, so you have to do a lot of research related things, right? So if it's a research position, make sure that you're talking about how you uh, enhance your skills in a particular role. So I think that's how I would suggest to go about it, to tailor your resume and to talk about yourself in a particular way for the role that you're applying to.
Right. Thank you, Ramya. I think, like, as you mentioned, tailoring the resume as per the job requirement is a really important aspect. Also, Saket, would you like to add on something to the resume wherein we can take note of the key headers?
Absolutely. So as Ramya already mentioned, it's very important that your resume is, customized for each job, right? Because each job has its own description, and if your resume is not really matching with that, it's a big turn off right there. In terms of how you can improve further on this, resume 101, you look at the job description first, and then you look at your existing skills, right? My biggest point here was that I was involved in theater. I actively pursued my men's play during college. So theater tells you a lot about teamwork. It gives you an immense path to connect with people and really go through that journey. So teamwork was one skill I picked up from there. And apart from that, as she already mentioned, research papers are very, very important, because when you do a research, right, it can also be as good as a CIA. If you had a very prolonged CIA, right, for a month or so, and all of you guys as a team have put in a lot of effort into it, and if you've done well, you can highlight that as well. They just want to see what you've done in the college. And apart from that, it's also important that you keep adding a lot of these online courses along with it. Credible online courses also can make a bit of a difference, because it shows your initiative, that you've gone above and beyond. You've done the online course in that respective segment, and that's adding to your skill set. And the use of keywords is something very, very important, right? If it's for the role of a research, make sure that your keywords are in bold, And one more thing, do not have a resume more than one page. Uh, Please try not to have it more than one page. And also, there are some myths that people don't go through a resume for beyond 5 seconds or 10 seconds at once, which I'm not denying it. But in my case, that was not true. In my second interview, I was solving the case, and my interviewer had some time with her. She literally looked at my resume, marked the points on that, and went through each and every point. So your resume is something that is, that should be very well structured. Keywords are one. Second, try using your existing skills and look at how you can portray them into that role. So I think that can, make it a bit more balanced.
Thank you so much, Ramya and Saket, for giving us this detailed description on how we can work on our resume. It'll definitely be very helpful for us. So also, Ramya, since we are on the topic of resume and academics as well, so as a SEMA aspirant myself, I'm really curious to know the learnings and outcomes from the qualification that helped you in your work.
Sure. So, SEMA has a lot of risk management and other people management kind of subjects. So, one thing that really helped me is my knowledge of risk. So, I work in the finance sector in BCG. So, they do have a lot of subsectors. So, SEMA knowledge of risk helped me to align myself to a particular sector that I really wanted to work in. And the expertise that I already had also really helped me build my space in that niche sector. And there was no one else with the kind of knowledge and prior background in risk that I had. So that really helped me to build myself and my expertise in that topic. So that is one way in which SEMA helped me.
So yeah, that's like, it's great to hear that, SEMA actually gave you a little head start over the others. So Saket, maybe if you would like to add on with your experience.
Yeah, thank you. So not just SEMA, but any other professional course that you're doing in your undergrad does add a lot of value to your resume, and it does give you that edge, right? It shows initiative, and at the same time, it shows that your efforts, you're channelizing your energy into something way beyond than just your regular academics. Now, SEMA is a course that is more inclined on strategic management and formulating strategies. So SEMA, as you know, is a very case study intense course, right? You have OCS, MCS, SCS. All of them are heavily case study oriented. And fortunately, by the time I was giving the interview, I was in the last level of SEMA. So my two case studies prior helped me a lot in terms of getting the interview right. And also how it's helping me now over here is with thinking out loud. So I'm working in an entirely different sector now. It's nowhere linked to finance, it's nowhere linked to BCom at all. So I'm working in the industrial goods sector. Industrial goods is something to do with heavy machinery, chemicals, automotive, and all these industries. So over here, finance is not something as a core requirement, but the core requirement is the way you think and the way you can apply your knowledge. So SEMA gave me that edge to channelize my thoughts into different directions and think from a wider lens. And I think that is something that's really helping me over here.
Yeah, so thank you, Saket, and it's great to know that SEMA allowed you to view things from a very panoramic and all-round view. So
Also, Ramya, when you completed your undergraduation, how did you choose between placements and pursuing a postgraduate course?
So the reason that what motivated me to take up a job rather than a master's was the requirement for SEMA. That was the main thing. So SEMA requires 3 years practical experience for you to finally get the title of CGMA. So I had completed my SCS in my second year. So I had a period of 4 years to complete the 3 years PER. So because I have to finish within 5 years of the final case study. So that it led to me taking up a job, and I plan to do my master's once I am done with the PER admissions.
So also, like, since you said that you plan to do your master's, so do you have anything in mind already that you're looking forward to?
I'm a little biased between masters in finance and an MBA. So right now I am pursuing a micro masters in finance from MIT to see if this is what I want to do, because I'm not really sure if I want to go deeper into finance or expand my horizon. So I mean, this is a trial run for me, and post that I'll probably take up either masters in finance or MBA.
So, since you're also working and pursuing your micro masters in finance, so in brief, could you also tell us how you're able to balance work and your studies?
Absolutely, that's a great question. Uh, the thing about BCG is we have great work-life balance. I've never faced an issue where I don't have time to do something that I want to do. Even when we were working in office, we never really work more than 8 hours. Only on exceptional cases where they require us to be staffed for a longer period of time, we'll have to put in more hours. But otherwise, it's pretty chill. And since work from home started, initially we had a lot of hiccups, but right now it's actually very peaceful. We have time to do something that we want to do other than work. And another thing is there's a lot of flexibility in the timings right now. So if I want, some days I start work at 6 o'clock in the morning, done by 2 or 3 in the afternoon. Some days I feel like I want to work late, so I can start at 10 and I can in the morning I can do something that I want to do. So there's a lot of flexibility that you just have to make sure that the people you're working with are fine with it, and you have the flexibility to do what you want to do and grow your skills outside of work as well.
And I think, like you mentioned, work-life balance is very important. Same way for us, like with our curriculars as well as, the studies that we're
Exactly.
taking forward.
So, Saket, we'd now like to ask you how you chose, among the different companies that came for placements after you completed your undergrad. And what advice would you give to students who will be sitting for placements in the coming years?
Sure. So here's my take on this. Getting a job post your undergrad really boosts your exposure. It gives you tremendous knowledge as to how a company works, how an industry runs, how to network with people, right? And all of these skills, when you learn at a very young age, it becomes very, very useful later on in your life. So later, when we do masters or MBA, whatever we have in mind, it really gives you that edge over the others. And also, you're getting that exposure at a very, very young age, right? So that adds a lot more credibility to your profile. In terms of my advice to students is that uh, look at the job description always and try and see if you can be a right fit over there, right? If you think that this job is not right for you, do not force yourself for it. Do not compare yourself with anyone, right? Just because your friends are after a job, try not to chase that, right? Everyone has their own unique potential, so always do what your heart says. End of the day, right? If you know for a fact that no matter if you're pursuing ACC or CIMA, if you feel that your heart lies in marketing, go chase that, because only when you do what you love, you're really going to make big at it, right? If you just force yourself into it, it's not going to work out. So no stress. Don't sit for a company just because you think it's a fancy package or something of that sort. Assume yourself in that role, assume yourself in that company, talk to people who are already working over there, right? And get that perspective, because only then you can make a good decision. That's what I basically feel about this.
Right. So that I think that's some great advice, following what you love doing and building your skill sets there, you'll naturally cultivate that interest for the same. And Ramya, if maybe we could get your 2 cents on this too.
I completely agree with whatever Saket just said. You'll have to make sure that you would like the job that you're applying for, otherwise it wouldn't make any sense at all. And I mean, Saket already mentioned, the most important thing is to talk to the people who are there, who are already working in this company, in the role that you're applying for. Reach out to them on LinkedIn, or if you have some senior in the company, talk to them and understand the role more, because sometimes the description that the company sends are very vague and you won't exactly know the entire role. So talk what possibly can, and I think that would help you know if that is the particular job for you or not.
Yeah, I think that's great. I mean, like building your network and also hearing from people who are doing what you wish to do later. I think that's a great, opportunity to learn from them too. So, considering the ramifications of the pandemic, Ramya, what changes do you predict in the job market in general and at BCG? And, how would you advise one to adapt to the same?
Sure, that's a good question. So, basis my conversations with people in different sectors, the job market is actually increasing because people have realized that working from home, they can't, they're not as efficient as they were before, and they're not able to do as much, especially in the current scenario. So, a lot of companies are hiring more and more people to make sure that, everyone's not stressed out, and there's everyone's able to have their work-life balance. And at BCG as well, they are hiring people, and they did hire this year as well from Christ and from multiple other colleges. And I feel like in the finance sector, which is where most of us are going to end up, finance consulting and other related sectors like marketing, product research, etc. I feel like the job market is actually pretty good right now with a lot of openings, and companies are realizing that they need more people. So I think it's looking good for your batch and the next batch.
That's great to know, to have a positive side as well, considering the whole pandemic effect that has come in. So, Sakit, since you are from the batch of 2020, we would love to know your side on this as well, on what changes do you predict and how can we adapt to the same?
Sure. So just to add on to that, it's very important, that you don't think of, the long run too much, right? I'd recommend focus on the present for now. Focus on the process, right? Try and, acquire more and more skills, because they will definitely pay off one day, right? I know the pandemic was tough on a lot of us. The job market got delayed a lot in 2020. A lot of people unfortunately lost their jobs. A lot of tragic events also took place. But it's very important that you stick to your process first. And of course, the campus recruitment and all of that will take place. They are currently again resuming back to normalcy. So just stick to the process for now. And when the time comes, go out there and shine. As simple as that.
Right. Thank you, Sakit. I think like that's what being the present is also really important, and how we can work on that. So moving on, so now we'll take a small break from the questions, and we have a short segment of rapid fire where we would ask you to provide quick answers in a word or a phrase. So we could start with Sakit and then over to Ramya.
All right, so starting off, name that one skill set or software which you think is a must learn for every student.
Microsoft Excel.
Over to Ramya.
Excel.
All right, so next, describe your journey in DPS in one word.
Is it for
Starting with
Ramya or
Sakit.
me? Okay,
Yeah,
starting with
starting
me.
with Sakit and then
Okay, it's very difficult question, to be honest. It's the most difficult question of all that we've had so far. But I can just call it a dream. I can just call it a dream for now, because getting into Christ was also a dream at one point, and subsequently, things working out through Christ was honestly a dream.
over to Ramya now.
I think I would say enlightening, because I learned a lot about myself, and I grew my skill set, got into a great company. So I think enlightening.
Right, it's nice to know that the whole journey was, a dream as well as enlightening, and how like Christ has provided all of us a holistic development. So lastly, name one course which every student must take up or should have done before entering the corporate world. So we'll start with Sakit and then Ramya.
So it's quite subjective, to be honest, right? Uh, I mean, for an engineer, it might be something else, whereas for commerce students, it might be something else altogether. So I will recommend that, whatever discipline you're currently in, try looking for a basic course in that. So most of us here are from accountancy and finance backgrounds. We're currently pursuing a professional course. But, for the ones who aren't, you can probably try picking up something in your sector, maybe something from, a reputable online course, right? Which gives you that touch. If not, you can probably look at internship as an alternative. And by internship, I mean not a small one for a month or so. Try doing it for a longer period of time, because actually developing ground skills over there. So it will definitely add more value.
Right. So can we move on to Ramya now?
Sure. So, like he said, it depends. But one skill that I would suggest you pick up is something related to analytics, because it's entering every field. So maybe Python for finance, or SQL, or C++, or I mean, C++ is too much coding, but anything that you feel like is going to help you, because every field right now is getting digitized. So I think data analytics or any such course would really help.
Right. So thank you so much for this rapid fire. I think it gave us, quick sense of clarity. Now coming to like the last question, Saket, can you tell us something about you which we cannot gather from your profiles or resumes? Say, a book or a movie character that influenced you, or any hobby that you take up after a long day.
Okay, so that's a very good question. I'll talk about, uh, a character who really inspired me a lot, right? Because I have learned so much and imbibed so much from that person. So for those of you all who watch Suits, you know where I'm getting at. It's Harvey Specter. I watched Suits in my second year of college, and trust me, ever since then, there was a drastic change in me. I began looking at things differently, because when you see a person of that stature, what he does, how he does, it's very fascinating, right? For a teen boy to just watch those things and get inspired. So that was really, really motivating for me. And apart from that, something which no one knows about me. Um, so I'm big time into solving Rubik's cubes. I can solve one in around 30 seconds. So that is my stress buster. I solve Rubik's cubes. So that's not widely known fact. But yeah, I always feel that you should have something which can be a great stress buster for you, right? All of us are stressed, no matter where we are, school, college, job. We are all stressed at some point of time, and having one stress buster really, really helps you get back on track. So that's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's amazing to know. And I think in this whole pandemic, it's nice to have something you can come back to after a long day and rewind. So, Ramya, can we know, your hobby or something that cheers you up?
Sure. So uh, when you look at my LinkedIn or when you look me up somewhere, I kind of come off as a nerd, which maybe I am, but I like to paint. I that's stress buster, like lets me to get back my concentration, to make sure that I'm level-headed, and that's one thing. And other than that, I like to travel, like, a lot. I traveled a lot in my childhood. I traveled a lot in college, and that's something, going to new places, meeting new people, having new experiences, that feel like you grow as a person when you do that. So that is another thing that is something that people don't really know about.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. I think, as you mentioned, art is a great way not only to express yourself, but also, to find some calm and peace. So yeah, over to Devanshi.
So this brings us to the end of the discussion. Thank you so much, Ramya and Saket. So we would also like to take up a few questions from the audience. So we're now open to questions, and we would request them to please put their questions in the Q&A box there.
I actually got a question privately, and I think it's a good question. When did I know that I wanted to pursue this career? So, there was no specific point or an event that led me to this, but I would say when I was in my second year and I was doing my internship, and I was working as a event management consultant. I would say I was liaising between two different companies to make sure that they have all the requirements they need, taking care of the logistics. and stuff like that. So doing that, I realized that I like solving problems. And then I read more about the consulting industry, and I was like, okay, maybe this is something that I would like to try out. Maybe this is where I fit in. So that's when I realized that, maybe I want to work in the consulting field, and hence my application.
Thank you, Ramya, for that answering the question. So we have one more question from a student who is in the hotel management course. So it says that we are exposed to various management and business disciplines and in fact share subjects with the BBA department. But then I want to join BCG as a business analyst right after my graduation. Will my degree play against the odds of getting through?
Sure, I think I can pick it up. Uh, so, buddy, no matter which course you're from, no matter what your background is, BCG is one place which genuinely values diversity. Over here, I have seen people from so many different disciplines that even I was shocked at first, right? You have people from various backgrounds, various disciplines, and trust me, this diversity is what makes this place such a special one. So no matter what your discipline is, as I said before, it's all about solving problems. So when they see that potential in you, you definitely stand a chance. So don't worry much about the background. It's more about the way you think and the way you solve problems. So I think the background is not really a big parameter over here. It's more about how you approach the interviews and get them going.
Thank you, Sakit. I think, like you said, skill development also would come in.
So we have another question. So how effective are virtual or remote internships, and and how will they help in resume building?
I think I'll try to take it up because I did one virtual internship during my college, and virtual internships are actually way more challenging than an internship where you go to the office, because you'll have to liaise with a lot of people and it's all virtual. And you build a lot of communication skills, and you find new innovative ways to work, to solve problems, to uh, make sure that the work is done. So it's not the traditional way of working. And the current scenario with COVID, I mean, I don't see everyone going back to office. Like, I feel like around 20 to 30% of the jobs are going to stay virtual. So having the experience in the virtual space, I think, would really help going forward. And honestly, the recruiters look for internships and they look for what you learned during the internships. They don't really care if you went to the office and did it or if you sat at home and did it. So they just want to know what you learned. So make sure no matter what internship it is, if it's a virtual internship or if you're going to the office for it, it doesn't really matter. Make sure that you learn everything that you possibly can from that particular role from the seniors that you have over there, because that's what really matters for anything, for if you're applying for masters or if you're applying for a job. Just make sure that you learned whatever you could from that role.
Right. Thank you, Ramya. One more question that we have is, how do we get internships and part-time jobs during the pandemic? Any websites or recommendations that you would like to mention particularly?
Okay, I think I can take a stab at this, and maybe Ramya can, definitely add some points later. Uh, I feel that networking is a very, very important skill. When I answer this question, so LinkedIn is a great source for networking, right? So when you know that you want to say do an internship or get a part-time job in XYZ industry, you have that as point number one. Then second thing, you look at companies in that industry, the top players, the credible companies in that, and eventually you look at people on LinkedIn who are part of that company. Try reaching out to them, show them your intent and your interest that you want to get this internship or work as a part-time person over there. They will definitely try and help you in whatever way they can, right? Everyone knows that it's tough times now, and virtual internships and virtual jobs are the only alternative left now. So LinkedIn is one source in which you can network extensively and try getting in. Apart from that, you can look at a lot of credible websites like Naukri.com and a lot of other websites. Even LinkedIn has a jobs category specifically, so you can look at these. But more I'll feel is that networking directly with the people, with the HR of that company, or with any other stakeholder in that company, can give you a way better insight as to how to go about.
Right. So, I mean, as you said, LinkedIn is, it's a great resource, not just for networking, but also, getting to know the prerequisites of the job you aspire. So another question that came up was, how was the transition from being a student to, to being a working professional at BCG? And was it stressful in the beginning? And what kind of sacrifices did you have to, give up make to, serve your role?
I think this requires both of us to answer because we had two different, mine was, his was virtual and mine was everything on board. So I think I'll go first. So we had our onboarding we had 1 month training. So they made sure that our transition was extremely smooth. And first week we just had icebreaker sessions and getting to know everyone who's joining. We had a huge bunch. We had 40 people joining in our team, along with 20 people in another team. So we had onboarding together. They made sure that we are very comfortable. We got to know everyone. And another uh, great thing for our batch was we had a training in Delhi and we were all living together in the same guest house. So we got to know each other a lot. It felt like a hostel, and like we were all hanging out after work and like going out, and you know, it was a great experience to get to know the people. Apart from that, they also made sure that they provided all the required training that we need for the job. There was 1 month exclusively just for training where we did not pick up any work, and 3 months after that, where it was on the job training, where we had our immediate seniors helping us through work, making sure that we are ready, and we had everyone had buddies. So in case we wanted to talk or rant about something at work, or if someone's not really being professional, we had someone to rant to, and like someone who could guide us through the process. And that was extremely helpful. And it, like I mentioned before, it didn't really feel like I'm going into a corporate world. It just felt like an extension of college because they made it so smooth, and it was like one of the best experiences like everyone in my batch had.
Right. So just to add the perspective of a virtual onboarding to that, like Ramya mentioned, right, it never felt that we are going into typical job or a corporate world. It just felt like an extension, to be very honest. And even in the virtual setting, they made sure that we are comfortable enough wherever we are. They also made sure that the onboarding was done in a very seamless manner. We had buddies allocated. So a buddy is sort of like your mentor or your friend, your initial friend in the corporate. They walk you through a lot of things and they give you a more informal insight into it, and that really gives you the feeling that you have someone over here, right? So things like that, and our entire process was virtual, right? Despite the trainings being virtual, it was conducted very seamlessly. We got to learn a lot from the researchers at BCG, from our seniors over there, and it never felt, not even a bit, it felt like it's a corporate or a job as such. It was a very welcoming place. So uh, I mean, I mean, it never felt like, a typical corporate, to be honest. I still don't think I go to work every day. I just wake up, I do my thing, and then I'm done. That's it. It never feels like you're doing a job. So it's very seamless.
Right. So I think, thank you so much for sharing. So we'll take up one last question. Is there a possibility of going from a research role to a front-end consultant role over a period of time within BCG?
Yes, it's it's not something that happens very often, but there is an option for you to apply internally after 2 to 3 years of experience in the research role. You can apply for the position of an associate, but this depends if there is an opening. If there is an opening, then obviously you can apply internally for the role. but it's very rare.
Right. So thank you so much, Ramya and Saket, for answering the questions of the students as well. So with this question, we reach the end of the Q&A session. I, on behalf of the entire team at FIC, would like to thank Ramya and Saket for their valuable insights, which not only gave students additional clarity, but also an inspiration to strive for success. We would also like to thank Director, Department of Professional Studies, Professor Biju Toms, HOD Kavita ma'am, and Matthew sir for their constant guidance and support. We would like to thank everyone for attending the session. So we'll be sharing this LinkedIn profiles of the speakers as well as other mentioned resources. Feel free to reach out to them for any queries and also follow FIC BPS on Instagram. Thank you. Stay safe.
Thank you so much.
Thank you everyone for having
Thank you,
us. It was
everyone.
great.